If you enjoyed The Witness and its concept, but found the puzzles and the overworld to be overwhelming and convoluted, then I think the Pillar Puzzle Escape will be a fantastic game to your library. It's a puzzle game that's available for PC and now for consoles, and I label it as The Witness Junior, which sounds like it could be a compliment as well as a slap in the face. So I'll try and explain what I mean, because actually this is a budget game that punches above its weight and above its looks and feels to be a really good experience that I have thoroughly enjoyed. The Pillar has two different types of puzzles that work in tandem with each other as soon as you enter a level. The first kind of layer of puzzles is the environmental puzzles that take place in each level, and these are things like line of sight puzzles, where you might need to line up pieces of the ceiling or rocks in a rock face to reveal a numerical code, so that you can then type it into doors and then like unlock the next area, that kind of thing. There's also laser beam puzzles where you need to like rotate lasers around to make them join up and connect a circuit and things like that as well. And later on you start to get into things like warp pads and picking up and dropping blocks, so that you can then change the colour of locks and warp pads so that you can get to new areas of like the level that you're in. Because the environments are quite compact, it means that you don't stray off the path too much, and you can usually understand and see what you're trying to do as you're working things out as you go along. What that normally happens is that when you complete the environmental puzzle, you unlock like the next sections of puzzles, and these are where Pillars, title, comes up and rises up out of the ground, and on each face of the pillar will be these kind of what I call line puzzles. And this is because back in the pre-COVID days when we used to commute to work, on the train, on the underground, I'd be bored, so when I was listening to music I'd play the mobile game Lines, where you'd connect up dots of the same colour but make sure that none of the lines had to cross over, and also you'd have to colour every block in the square. I'm sure loads of people have played the mobile game. It's like free and it's just like a brain, like mindless dump. But what the Pillar does with that is that it then evolves these types of puzzles out so that it's not just around connecting the dots. It will be things like watching a pattern and then trying to replicate it. It could be that you need to colour all of the blocks which light up during a pattern. Or it could end up becoming like sliding puzzles as well, which I detest usually, but the Pillar kind of made them a little bit more bearable because it kind of meshed the sliding puzzle with the line puzzle together to make like a singular thing. These increase in complexity over time, but because the actual block that is on the pillar always stays the same size, they never get too like stupid for their own good. It's just that each level brings up a new type of like line-based game that it can play with, and then it kind of drops it into the mix with everything else that's going on. By its design, because it's compact, it means that the puzzles are never like absolutely mind-numbingly or mind-meltingly challenging, but they're not really mind-numbing either, because you can get it wrong a couple of times and it'll immediately go and you'll get to redo and re-go again. But because they're bite-sized and small, you find that your progression keeps going, and you just go and see what like the next thing does, and then the next pillar rises up and you're like, oh, I wonder what's there. And it's really good at drip feeding you more stuff to keep you going. The only kind of flip side downside to that is that a couple of the puzzles revolve around trying to guess random button combinations and then like working out what comes next, and I found those to be a little bit meh, just because the rest of the game is so good at putting a puzzle in front of you that keeps you occupied and moving forward. My only other complaint is that it desperately needed a run button, because walking everywhere around some hedge mazes whilst you kind of understand which button to press next in a completely randomised selection was a little bit, felt like padding to me. The game itself can be completed in about 3 hours. It took me 3 3/4 to complete, because I'm not the fastest gamer out there. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, exceeded my expectations, love a low poly aesthetic, and thoroughly enjoyed. Written review will be over on highplayinggames.com. Until next time, you guys take care. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.